put you outside too?
Alrighty. Alrighty. So there's a common saying that people have about cats, and it's that nobody really owns a cat, especially cat owners. So I actually live with 3 cats right now, Mango, Misa, and Mogi. They're my beloveds, and they're my roommates, but they don't really pay rent, and they do whatever they want all of the time. And my love for them is what inspired me to do some extensive research into a couple studies that were done 3 to 4 years ago based on the domestication of cats in the ancient world and the origins of where it started. And I found out that the domestication happened a very long time ago. Like, cats have been around for a very, very long time, dating from the Neolithic period, 10 to 12,000 years ago, and then 3,000 years later in the ancient Egypt. And then there was a final mark of domestication of breeding, for selective breeding, that started in the 18th century. And it all started in the Fertile Crescent in the Neolithic period. And during this time, people were transitioning from being nomadic, which means that we followed our prey, like, say, bison. We followed their migratory patterns around. So we never stayed in one place for long because neither did our prey. And then during this time, we swapped from that lifestyle to farming and agriculture, and we started cultivating the land. And during this time, we started figuring out that we could store and farm crops. And as we did this, of course, as you may guess, a lot of pests like rodents and mice and rats and all of whatnot, they would come and eat all of our food. Well, this attracted the northwestern and northeastern wildcat, which is the Felis sylvestris libica. This cat was like, whoa, wow, look at all of this food. And they went and they started picking up all of our prey because those were their natural prey items that were conveniently all bunched up in our areas because they were eating our food. So it was because of this that Dr. Magdalena Krajgertz of the Institute of Archaeology figured out that these diets, as she was studying these ancient cat DNA, that they had been eating things that had consumed grain from our crops. So she figured out that they were, in fact, a long time ago, during this period in specific, they were eating the prey that was eating our food. So they were protecting our crops. So the farmers were the first ones to ever actually, quote unquote, domesticate these creatures. And there was actually an instance 9,500 years ago in ancient Cyprus where there was a tomb of this farmer, and he had a cat that was buried with him. So it was even during this time, a very, very long time ago, that we were forming these connections with these cats. So wherever these human civilizations were, in all this farmland, these cats soon followed, and their populations increased. And then there was the second wave of great domestication across all of the cats. This was in ancient Egypt. And as some of you may know, in ancient Egypt, there was actually a really, they were very revered in this society, I'll say it that way. These cats were, they were linked to their cat goddess Bastet, who was the goddess of love. And so during this society, they were very sacred, and people always wanted to protect these cats, to the point where if you were ever found to have murdered a cat, even accidentally, you could be penalized with death. So they were very serious about that. And during this time, the people were very avid about traveling by boat. So we created this other mutual benefit with cats, where we would have all of these food storages on boats. But like, what would you do if we're in the middle of the ocean with rodents eating all of our food? Well, it seems kind of like a newsflash, as they have been for the past thousands of years, to bring cats along with these boats. So for a very long time, cats have also been very necessary for sailors. So there were even cats on the Mayflower that sailed across the sea to the Americas. There was, according to Kay McQuillan, her ancestor wrote an entry about a pregnant calico cat, which meant there were multiple cats on the Mayflower. And paleogeneticist Claudio Ottoni was talking about the ancient cat dispersal and just how far they had come across the world by these ports. And there was a final mark of domestication that cats had, which is the tabby coat, which was a recessive gene that all cats have, these wild cats that is, because normally the Felis sylvestris libica has a striped mackerel pattern, which is very distinct from the tabby coat that the domesticated cats we normally see today. So the evolutionary geneticist Eva Maria Geigel found out that these cats have, they've always had this gene, but it was found in the Middle Ages, but it was more normalized in the 18th century. And it was around this time that people started breeding these cat colors for like their, to be fancier, like all white, like all black. There's even cats that are like all blue, gray, and they were very specific with it. But that's about as far as it goes, because these cats are still like almost 99% genetically similar to these other cats, the domesticated cats versus the wild cats, and their behaviors are literally almost the exact same. So this tabby coats and all of our coats that we have are very, very similar. So again, geneticist Eva Maria Geigel talked about how there was no need to subject cats to such a selective breeding process like dogs, because the cats were perfect as they are, like as they have been for thousands and thousands of years. Their behavior is perfect for us. They already have a job. And the only variation in all these cat colors are their colors. So maybe it is true that cat owners really don't own their cats, and maybe their cats own us, because I mean, they must have found that we were so easy to just give them, we just gave them food basically for all of these thousands of years, and they stuck around because their genetic makeup is pretty much the same as the wildcat. So from wildcats hunting rats and mice in the Neolithic period, to revered and sacred cats in Egypt, to our cats sleeping on our sofas today, they've been with us for a really, really long time, and they're probably not going anywhere, and they'll probably stay the same. There we go.